Monsheen is not the first person to try to poke holes in Lively's lawsuit.
And if she had just shut up, let the bad press over the summer die away, they would have had a hit movie on their hands.
Blake Lively is in a complete meltdown after the It Ends With Us cast pulled back the curtain on her not-so-glamorous behavior. And let me tell you, it's far from pretty.
Lies. You weren't even nude. You are a liar.
From her lies to her controlling antics, every little truth slowly bubbles to the surface. Turns out that her attempt to manipulate the narrative didn't exactly stay under wraps because people noticed. Blake Lively is now in full meltdown mode, and honestly, it's hard to blame her. Her carefully curated image crumbles faster than a house of cards in a windstorm.
All hell broke loose. She claims he sexual harassed her, and then by the time they premiered the movie, they weren't even speaking to each other. She made him stay in the basement, and Ryan Reynolds turned on him too. And then she claimed that he unleashed a bad PR campaign against her.
For years, she's been the golden girl of Hollywood, untouchable, polished, and so relatable on social media. But now, well, the reality is catching up with her.
Blake Lively is not a good person, that she has proven herself not to be a kind person, okay? And that's largely due to the fact that she is a modern feminist, and so she has to create struggle where there just isn't any.
The co-workers have exposed her dirty behavior in the past, and it's hard to believe. But for now, let's start with It Ends With Us. The movie was supposed to be a heart-wrenching adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel. Fans were ready for tears, love, and all the feels. But what they got instead? A scandal that makes the behind-the-scenes drama juicier than the actual plot.
Then there's this guy, Justin Baldoni, who's not as well known. And see, they've been following the story. So he optioned this book called It Ends With Us, and it's about domestic violence. And he managed to get Blake Lively to star in his movie across from him.
Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were supposed to be the dynamic duo bringing this story to life. Instead, we've got a courtroom showdown that's more compelling than any romance novel could ever hope to be.
So he gets Blake Lively. She's married to Ryan Reynolds. These are Hollywood A-listers. He's going to put him on the map. And she agrees to be his female co-star. Great, they're off to the races.
Now, meet our cast of characters. Blake Lively, the queen of poise and perfection. Or so we thought.
Then she asked him herself to play Ryle in the movie, and things were great until Blake Lively, right?
Justin Baldoni, the actor turned director.
He portrayed Dr. Dunbar, the actor who was her OBGYN, the one who delivered the baby, the one that Blake Lively accused of being, creepy. I don't know what she was even trying to allude, but tried to claim that because he was friends with Justin, it was inappropriate that he was cast as the doctor.
And his bestie apparently landed the role of Lively's on-screen OBGYN. And let's not forget Adam Manchin, the actor who has decided he's had enough of the finger pointing and has entered the chat with receipts. And there's also Robin Lively, Blake's sister, who might or might not have something to say in her siblings' defense.
Blake Lively in her very postpartum body is just turning on all these men, and they just turn into absolute sexual demons when they're around her and just need to be near her.
The cherry on top of this whole drama Sunday, Blake Lively decided to file a lawsuit for harassment against Justin Baldoni. Yes, you read that right. Here's where things get messy. Blake Lively claims that the birthing scene in It Ends With Us was nothing short of a nightmare.
Subsequent filing, she say, well, was it nearly nude? They wanted me to be nude when she was wearing a pregnancy suit, had on leggings and a hospital gown. Like, none of it makes any sense.
According to her lawsuit, the set was chaotic, unprofessional, and let's not mince words here, violative.
By many of Baldoni's actions on set, including new scenes he chose to have in the film, such as volatile birthing scene, for which he cast a friend as her OBGYN, a volatile birthing scene.
She described being nearly nude with Baldoni's friend, yes, the OBGYN character, getting uncomfortably close during filming.
During the birth scene as chaotic, crowded, and utterly lacking in standard industry protections for filming nude scenes. Lies. You weren't even nude. You are a liar.
And if that wasn't bad enough, she alleged that the set wasn't even closed during this oh-so-delicate scene. Because apparently letting non-essential crew members waltz in and out is totally normal in Hollywood.
Mr. Heath and Mr. Baldoni also failed to close the set, allowing non-essential crew to pass through while Miss Lively was partially nude from below the chest down with her legs spread wide in stirrups and only a small piece of fabric covering her genitalia.
But wait, there's more. Blake's description of the scene included terms like partially nude, legs spread wide, and small piece of fabric covering her genitalia. Sounds like a nightmare, right?
Actor Adam Monsheen, who appeared alongside Blake Lively in It Ends With Us, claims the movie star mischaracterized their scene together in her bombshell sexual harassment lawsuit against Justin Baldoni.
But that's not the case at all. The actors on the set exposed all about her behavior that let her scratch her head.
But this guy is not staying quiet because he was dragged into it unnecessarily because once again, Blake lied and her delusions have caught up to her, and now he wants to clear the air on what's really going on, at least from his perspective.
Adam Manchin and other actors didn't mince a word, and it seems like everyone is done with her drama.
I'm not going to speculate as to Miss Lively's motivations for mentioning me in the complaint. Needless to say, my experience working with her is very different from the one she described in her lawsuit.
Manchin, who played the OBGYN in question, says Blake's version of events is about as accurate as a Wikipedia page with no citations.
And then he also is trained at Oxford. He's a Shakespearean trained actor. He's been in many productions, and I believe he is a very accomplished actor in his own right.
And Manchin didn't stop there. He called her insinuations offensive, especially the bit about him being unqualified.
That this Adam is actually a very trained, Shakespearean trained actor. This is a man that went to NYU. He has been around the block. He knows what he's doing.
Turns out, Manchin is a trained and experienced actor with an impressive resume. So, why would Blake go out of her way to paint him as some random guy Baldoni pulled off the street? That's the debate for another day. Now, let's talk about this closed set business. Manchin claims the set was professional, controlled, and entirely standard for scenes like this.
In addition to whatever personal garment she chose. Monshine further claims that the Gossip Girl alum never complained or expressed discomfort at any point because nothing unusual or improper occurred. It was entirely professional.
He also pointed out that Lively never complained. Not once. Not during filming, not in private, not in public. Nada. So, if the set was such a horror show, why didn't she speak up then? And why is all this coming out now in the form of a lawsuit? Could it be a calculated move? Manchin noted that if Blake's allegations were true, there'd be footage or other evidence to back it up. But so far, crickets. Meanwhile, Baldoni has stayed relatively quiet, letting others, like Manchin, do the talking. Smart move or guilty silence? You decide.
A lot of communication and like check-ins and making sure like, how are you feeling? How's it going? And a lot of water, like making sure we feel like physically but also mentally well just while doing such intense scenes, because it takes a long time. It's a choreographed thing. You have to rehearse the choreography. It's like a dance, you know?
She also claimed in the suit that It Ends With Us director 41 introduced his best friend to play the role of the OBGYN when ordinarily a small role of this nature would be filled by a local actor.
And speaking of Baldoni, let's not forget the accusation that he cast his best friend for the OBGYN role to, make Blake uncomfortable?
I was, in fact, a local hire. My wife and I are from New York and spend significant time there. As such, I, like any actor accepting that contract, was required to cover my own travel and living expenses in connection with the job.
Manchin swiftly shut that down, revealing that he was actually a local hire. Yup, he and his wife live in New York, and he covered his own travel and expenses for the job. So much for nepotism. If anything, it seems like Baldoni was just trying to make the best of a bad situation, something Blake conveniently left out of her narrative. This drama is less about a birthing scene and more about credibility. Who's telling the truth? Who's spinning a story? And who's just trying to survive the Hollywood circus?
She kind of threw him out and put his career aside and just called him one of Justin Baldoni's friend that he just gave a job to in a very, very vulnerable position where he had to be so close to her genitalia. And she was also nude in the scene, and she felt very uncomfortable. And it was a very chaotic day on set that day, and there were multiple people, etc., etc.
Let's talk about Adam Manchin, the man of the hour. The actor who played the OBGYN in that now infamous birthing scene from It Ends With Us has officially had enough of Blake Lively's claims. And boy, did he clap back loudly.
Is now offended by her implications in the lawsuit that he wasn't even qualified for this small little nothing role.
If you were wondering how he feels about being dragged into her lawsuit, let's just say offended doesn't even begin to cover it. But don't worry, Adam came armed with facts, a razor-sharp wit, and a nickname for Blake that's already making waves. Pinocchio Lively. Yes, it's as juicy as it sounds. So let's unpack this. Blake's lawsuit paints a vivid picture. Invasive filming, unprofessional conduct, and her being left overly exposed. Dramatic, right? Well, Adam calls her out in the politest way possible, which, let's be honest, is Hollywood code for that's a lie.
Clearly nude, he alleges her costume included a full hospital gown, black shorts, and a torso-covering prosthetic to make her appear pregnant, in addition to whatever personal garments she chose. Manchin further claims that the Gossip Girl alum never complained or expressed discomfort at any point because nothing unusual or improper occurred.
He breaks it down step by step, explaining that Blake was never nearly nude, as she claimed. Instead, she was decked out in black shorts, a hospital gown, and a torso-covering prosthetic to simulate pregnancy. Not exactly the scandal she described.
She was covered up from head to toe, completely head to toe, in a birthing scene. I guess she expected to, what did she expect to have on?
Adam even points out that Blake was fully covered down there and up here, leaving no room for misinterpretation. If this is supposed to be humiliating, someone needs to redefine the word.
He was great. I mean, he did a really good job at balancing being both, a lead actor in the film and then being a director and a producer. And honestly, the entire crew that he assembled was just so incredible.
But wait, there's more. Adam insists the set was not just professional. It was textbook. The kind of environment where everyone knows their job, boundaries are respected, and no one's getting traumatized in stirrups.
There was just a lot of communication and check-ins and making sure how are you feeling, how's it going, and a lot of water, making sure we feel physically but also mentally well just while doing such intense scenes because it takes a long time.
Isabel Ferrer, another crew member, paints a very different picture, one of professionalism, respect, and comfort. She shared that Justin Baldoni, as a director, went above and beyond to ensure everyone felt at ease during the filming process.
It Ends With Us actor is claiming Blake Lively's twisted facts and bombshell lawsuit. She never complained on set.
And here's the kicker. Adam claims Blake never complained. Not once. No whispered concerns to the director. No side eyes to the crew. Not even a dramatic sigh for effect. For someone supposedly enduring such a nightmare, that's an interesting choice.
I see you, sis. Manchin, meanwhile, adds that should Baldoni's lawyers call him to the witness stand in the upcoming March 2026 trial, he is willing to do so.
And let's not forget Adam's pièce de résistance, his willingness to testify. That's right, he's ready to take the stand, swear under oath, and spill the tea. All with the kind of confidence that only comes from knowing you've got nothing to hide.
If I'm called to testify in the case, I will answer truthfully and more freely, whatever is asked of me, with all the legal protection that affords, he says.
In his words, he'll answer truthfully and more freely in court, with the protection of legal immunity. Translation: I've got receipts, and I'm not afraid to use them. Adam didn't pull any punches when he explained why he chose it. To him, Blake's lawsuit reads like a fairy tale, with her as the princess spinning tales of woe and injustice. The only problem is that the story doesn't hold up under scrutiny, and Adam isn't shy about pointing that out. The nickname is a not-so-subtle jab at what he sees as her embellishment of events. Harsh? Maybe? Accurate? Well, that's for a jury to decide.
What the heck? As I read that, I assumed, why would she make this up? She's a pretty big deal. She's got a lot of power. Like, why would she want to risk putting such a big lie out there? That could also be easily proven false.
And speaking of fairy tales, let's dive into Blake's narrative versus reality. Her lawsuit paints the set as chaotic and unprofessional, a far cry from what Adam and other crew members describe. Adam is adamant that the birthing scene was filmed with all the standard industry protections in place. He even hints that footage exists to back him up. You know, actual video evidence. Because in Hollywood, if it's not on camera, did it even happen?
And for you to do the opposite and just imply, again, more toxic crap and negativity about anything this man does must have been to seek pleasure? I mean, you were so full of yourself.
Blake's version of events, on the other hand, sounds like a behind-the-scenes nightmare. Open sets, random people wandering around, and her left half naked while cameras rolled. It's a tale of alleged misconduct that would make any actor think twice about signing on to a project. But according to Adam, it's just that, a tale.
Then she asked him herself to play Ryle in the movie, and things were great, until Blake Lively.
And then there's Justin Baldoni, who's been playing it cool amidst the chaos. While Blake has been airing her grievances and Adam has been firing back, Baldoni has reportedly been sitting on some receipts of his own. And if you ask me what are these receipts, they're proof that Blake's descriptions of the birthing scene and the set as a whole don't match reality. Whether it's footage, emails, or witness statements, Baldoni seems confident that he's got the goods to clear his name. But here's the question no one's asking. If this footage exists, why hasn't it been released yet? Is Baldoni waiting for the perfect moment to drop the bombshell? Or is this just a strategic bluff to keep everyone on their toes? Either way, it's adding another layer of intrigue to an already messy situation.
How manipulative she's been. How she's trying to rewrite the history of it all.
Blake Lively is now in full meltdown mode, and honestly, it's hard to blame her. Her carefully curated image is crumbling faster than a house of cards in a windstorm. For years, she's been the golden girl of Hollywood. Untouchable, polished, and so relatable on social media. But now, well, the reality is catching up with her. All those dragons she's been slaying in her personal narratives are suddenly no match for the truth. It's one thing to paint yourself as the victim in a carefully crafted story, but it's another when everyone around you has receipts to prove you're not as innocent as you'd like to portray. Blake's used to calling the shots, but this time, it seems like the tables have turned.
Look, this all just goes to show how unprepared and unresearched Blake Lively was. It's incredibly frustrating that she just thinks she can just cut all these people off and accuse them of all of this stuff.
If Blake thought she could manipulate her way out of this, she's sorely mistaken. Because here's the thing. This time, the truth is out, and there's no fairy tale ending in sight. The people around her aren't just sitting back and letting her spin her web of lies.
Well, people are allowed to come forward and defend themselves, Blake. This isn't retaliation. You ensued that this guy was some creepy weirdo.
Adam Manchin, Justin Baldoni, and even the media are all calling her out, and they've got proof to back up their claims. So, Blake's grand narrative of being the wronged party doesn't exactly hold up when actual footage and on-set testimony tell a completely different story. No amount of dramatic legal action or Instagram posts can erase the fact that her reality is being exposed, and she's going to have to face the consequences alone. This isn't a movie, and it's certainly not a fairy tale. It's just the cold, hard truth catching up with her. Let's dive into the nepotism rabbit hole, shall we? Because no Hollywood drama is complete without a splash of family intrigue, and this one's got a heavy dose. Enter Robin Lively, Blake's older sister and fellow It Ends With Us cast member. Now, Robin hasn't said a peep publicly about her sister's legal melodrama, but that hasn't stopped the speculation. Is she gearing up to testify? The media, of course, has been all over this. Why wouldn't they be? It's too juicy to ignore. Some are asking the big question, is Robin going to support her sister, Or does her silence hint at something deeper? And then there's Justin Baldoni, who's somehow tangled up in this family affair. Let's not forget that Robin also worked on his film. Was Baldoni chummy with the Lively clan? Here's the kicker. If Robin does testify, her words could make or break this case. Her proximity to both the drama and the people involved gives her a unique perspective. She could either corroborate Blake's claims, giving her sister the upper hand, or completely dismantle them, leaving Blake floundering. Either way, Robin's potential testimony is the wild card no one can predict, but everyone's waiting for.
So kudos to this guy, Adam. I hope we can get up more with him. I hope he does show up more and gets this under oath.
Now, let's pivot to the real spectacle, the media circus. Because if you thought the court of law was intense, wait until you hear about the court of public opinion. Two heavyweights are duking it out over this story, and neither is pulling punches. On one side, we've got Andy Senior of Popcorn Planet, who's made it his mission to call Blake Lively out. His take? She's manipulative and playing the victim card like it's an Olympic sport. What's fascinating is how much influence these media narratives hold. Andy and Perez aren't just reporting the story, they're shaping it. With every sarcastic jab and dramatic headline, they're steering public perception, turning Blake from Hollywood sweetheart to courtroom villain in record time. It's a masterclass in how to weaponize words, and a stark reminder that in the media's hands, reputations are as fragile as crystal chandeliers. But let's not pretend the media is impartial here. Both Andy and Perez have made their allegiances clear, siding firmly with Adam Manchin and Justin Baldoni. Is it because they genuinely believe Blake's in the wrong? Or because siding against her makes for better content? Probably a bit of both. After all, controversy sells, and this saga is the gift that keeps on giving.
It's wild how she is tripling down and continuing to try to paint herself as a victim, as now the actual witnesses are coming forward and be like, no, nice try, girl. Not anymore. I can't sit back in silence. I got to defend Justin, and I got to defend myself.
Meanwhile, Blake is stuck in the crossfire, fighting a battle on two fronts, the courtroom and the court of public opinion. It's a tough spot to be in, especially when every sarcastic comment and cleverly edited video clip adds fuel to the fire. Whether she emerges from this as a misunderstood victim or a cautionary tale for overplaying your hand remains to be seen. But one thing's certain, the drama isn't slowing down anytime soon. Let's take a moment to appreciate the fine art of Hollywood hypocrisy, shall we? Because if there's one thing that this entire debacle proves, it's that the movie industry loves a scandal, as long as it's the right kind of scandal. In the world of glossy red carpets and million-dollar contracts, certain people can get away with things that would have the rest of us permanently canceled. But Blake Lively? She's not just a darling of Hollywood, she's a target now. So let's look at the bigger picture, comparing her allegations to past controversies. Because, let's be honest, this isn't exactly a new song.
Kudos to this guy who clearly is finally stepping up and confident enough to say, no, nice try, Blake. I wish you would have done it a little sooner, and I wish more people would do it now, and it's not too late, people.
Hollywood's history is littered with high-profile accusations and dramatic lawsuits, each one seeming to follow the same predictable pattern. Power dynamics? Oh, they're everywhere. When you're a big name, you can either make a mess or get one cleaned up in a jiffy. Take Harvey Weinstein, allegedly being one of the most notorious offenders in Hollywood's history. Yet it took years for anyone to even begin holding him accountable. In contrast, Blake, a talented actress with plenty of clout of her own, is facing a completely different type of scrutiny. Here's where it gets interesting. Blake's lawsuit hinges on accusations of unprofessional behavior and inappropriate conduct on set. She's claiming a violative birthing scene, but does that mean she's genuinely concerned about the industry's on-set practices? Or is this just some good old strategic damage control? After all, nothing gets people's attention faster than a lawsuit filled with juicy, attention-grabbing allegations. Could Blake be playing the long game to salvage her image? Or maybe she's just genuinely speaking out for every actress who's been mistreated in the past. Honestly, who knows anymore? Hollywood is like a never-ending soap opera where everyone's motives are in question.
She has, you could say, established her brand as someone who is anti-abuse. I think it's really important to now stake a horse in this race and say, I obviously was completely manipulated.
Let's not forget the fallout, because there's always fallout. The real question here is Blake's career in danger, or is she untouchable? Sure, her reputation is in the midst of a meltdown, but let's be real. She's been around long enough, had enough hits, and made enough money to likely be just fine. She'll weather this storm like so many before her. The system loves a comeback story, especially when you have a knack for Instagram selfies and a successful brand of lifestyle products. But can she bounce back? Or will the industry turn its back on her for good? The jury's still out.
Hollywood power couple Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and actor and director Justin Baldoni. The plot of this lawsuit is actually more interesting, I believe, than the film that they made.
Now, let's talk about what happens next. It's like a soap opera with too many cliffhangers, and we've only just reached the juicy middle. What's next for Blake, Justin Baldoni, and Adam Manchin? Well, assuming this lawsuit doesn't get buried under a pile of new scandals, there's a chance it could either catapult their careers to new heights or bury them in the public eye forever. The stakes are high, my friends. For Blake, this could be the beginning of a redemption arc or her Hollywood swan song. And then there's It Ends With Us. Can the film even survive this? Sure, it's already got a built-in fan base, but let's not kid ourselves. The drama surrounding it could overshadow the actual movie. People are going to the theater not just for the love story, but to see if they can spot the next Blake moment when the cameras are off. Hollywood loves its scandals, but it also loves its box office numbers, and the line between the two has never been blurrier. Like this video and subscribe to the channel to not miss any information from this legal battle.